The movie is set in a dystopian future where time is the new currency, replacing money as the accepted medium of exchange. Each person has a timer embedded in their arm showing the amount of time they have left. If the timer clocks to 0, you essentially run out of time and immediately collapse dead. The timer is genetically engineered to set off at the age of 25, with each person accorded a year on their timer. People also stop aging at that age and retain that physique, but it's only in favor of the rich. It's revealed that the society is a typical one, with a clear boundary between the haves and have-nots. The rich have centuries in time, while the poor are forced to survive on hours and debts. The rich reside in a zone called New Greenwich, while the less fortunate are left to suffer in the ghettos. They are also forced to run around to achieve more in their limited time, while the rich stroll leisurely in their clean cities. In the opening scene, we are introduced to our protagonist Will, getting up with less than a day on his timer. However, he seems unbothered by this as it's a typical day for him in the ghetto. On the contrary, he is jovial as he joins his mom to surprise her for her 50th birthday, despite her young 25-year-old physique. However, the two lack enough time to celebrate as his mother has bills to pay and debts to settle. She asks him to meet her the following day at a bus station after running her errands, adding she won't have much time. Will is eager to meet her then, promising to throw her a party when they get back. As he leaves for work, she offers him 30 minutes to enjoy a decent meal, which they barely afford. On his way, he donates some minutes to his little friend Maya, who hustles time using time capsules for bills. He then runs to join his friend Boral for breakfast, and they are surprised to find the coffee prices hiked. The duo then proceed to work and receive their peanut pay at the end of the day before going clubbing. It's here they are flabbergasted to see a rich man flaunting his timer, which has over a century on it. They haven't witnessed such a wonder as he buys drinks for everyone, to which Boral drinks to his fill. On the other hand, Will can't help but feel concerned for the guy, knowing that gangs will hunt him down for his time. However, he barely manages to talk him out when the expected gang arrives and people scamper for safety. Will secretly spies on them and finally risks his life as he picks up the guy and storms off. Though the gang is in hot pursuit of them, they manage to outrun them and find a spot for the night. The intoxicated guy introduces himself as Henry from New Greenwich. Surprisingly, he is 105 years old, and his mind, unlike his body, has worn out over the years, and nothing excites him anymore. He goes on to talk about the forces behind the time resources, revealing that many are poor, as the few rich keep all the resources to themselves. There's enough time for everyone, but the rich control this to keep people poor and control the population. This is the reason basic commodities keep getting expensive to get rid of more people. As he wraps up the lesson, he asks Will what he would do if he had such time as his. Though Will has no specific answer, he is sure he couldn't waste it. The following morning, Henry gets up before Will and silently transfers all of his time to him, leaving himself 5 minutes to walk to a bridge. Will gets up shortly afterward and spots him, but it's too late to save him. His timer clocks out and he drops into the river, dead, as Will makes his way out there. Following this, he immediately finds Boral and offers him 10 years as he plans to leave the dangerous ghetto for New Greenwich. He plans to carry his mom along and immediately heads for the bus station to wait for her as planned. Unbeknownst to him, his mother is stranded as the bus fare is hiked by an hour, which she falls short of. She's forced to run as the driver ignores her pleas and time lapses fast. Will, who fails to spot his mom on the arriving bus, senses danger and starts running to find her. His mom spots him and runs towards him, but sadly misses him by a second as she collapses on his hand. Angered by this, he vows to bring down the corporations behind the time mystery and immediately sets out for New Greenwich. Meanwhile, a group of officers who monitor time crimes, led by Detective Leon, take up Henry's case for investigation. Leon is quick to track his movement and immediately sets out in pursuit of him to recover the purportedly stolen time. Meanwhile, Will makes it to New Greenwich, but immediately seems out of place as his running habit sticks with him. This catches the attention of a lady named Sylvia, and she starts following him around. Will enjoys the luxurious life, oblivious to his former life as he squanders time. Later on, he walks to a casino for some poker and meets a tycoon named Weiss, who turns out to be Sylvia's father. The two catch up, with Weiss admiring his confidence as Will bets with all his time less 30 seconds. This is a life and death bet, but he eventually wins millennium for himself, impressing Weiss and his daughter altogether. Following this, Sylvia invites him to their house party the following day, to which Will obliges. He immediately goes shopping for a posh car and turns up for the party as planned. Here, Weiss introduces him to his weird family, where his wife, daughter, and mother-in-law stand at their 25 physique. It doesn't take long before a charismatic Will and a curious Sylvia get acquainted. The duo goes for a dip on the beach as Sylvia enjoys the carefree attitude of the ghetto people, which she knew when she saw Will run earlier on. They go on to enjoy the swim, but unbeknownst to them, Detective Leon has managed to track Will down and is closing in on him fast. They finally head back to the party, but are shortly interrupted when Leon comes in pursuit of Will, cutting short the party in the process. He confiscates his time and leaves him with 2 hours as he prepares to deport him. However, a cunning Will immediately fights back and goes for Sylvia. He takes her into his car and flees as Leon and his cohorts pursue him, but he finally outruns them. As his time lapses, he seeks help from Sylvia, who has a decade on her. However, she is bitter as he abducted her and refuses to offer him some time. However, this changes when they fall into the trap of a gang that steals their time, leaving her half an hour. They are forced to collaborate to stay alive, and they run to find Boral as Will now has returned to his neighborhood. Will is disheartened to find out Boral died as he drank himself to death as the decade Will offered him took over him. They are then forced to run into a pawn shop to sell Sylvia's diamond earrings as only seconds remain in their timers. Though they get a day each from that, Sylvia for the first time feels what the locals go through to survive. In the next cut, Will calls Weiss demanding 1,000 years be distributed in the local time loan shops as ransom. Will is determined to get more time for his people and goes on to talk about it to Sylvia in detail that night. The following day, they wake up only to find Weiss dishonored Will's request, and Will gives up. He escorts her to make a call home, but Sylvia now, who sees his dream, pushes him to fight the Time Barons. Will believes her more when she shoots at Leon, who has tracked them down as he aims at Will. Will steals his time, but leaves him enough to find his colleagues as they steal his car and flee. With the police car, they disguise themselves as officers and rob a taxi in transit headed for New Greenwich, getting more years from the rich lady and stealing the taxi itself. They drive off to a secluded area as they prepare for the night while catching up. Sylvia reveals her love for her new life as opposed to the conservative one her father accorded her. The conversation goes on and finally culminates with the duo making out. The following morning, Sylvia is ready to join him to conquer the Barons as she offers him an idea. They go for her father's banks, breaking them and offering people free time. However, this comes at a price as Leon and the gangs hunt them ruthlessly. Though they narrowly escape Leon, the gang finally gets hold of them in their hotel room. Their proud leader offers Will a fight to the death, which entails draining your opponent's time until they time out. Will immediately goes for it, as he learned a trick from his deceased father, who was on a similar mission as him to save his people. At the start, he lets his opponent get the upper hand and his timer is drained to a few seconds. At this point, the opponent slacks as he watches Will clock out, only for Will to take the small window of opportunity to bounce back. He finally drains him dead while swiftly eliminating the remaining members before fleeing. As they camp for the night, they are sad to see the cost of living going up to counter the excess time in circulation. This rubbishes their efforts, but Sylvia is willing to continue the fight despite Will's pessimism on it working. In the next cut, the duo dress up as they prepare for a grand entrance to Sylvia's father's headquarters. He's among the directors and his stores would have enough time for Will's people. The two play a well-calculated move as Sylvia pretends to get back to her dad while Will infiltrates his security detail. They escort him to his office where they successfully recover a time capsule with 1,000,000 years in it. Weiss's attempt to talk them out of it fall on deaf ears as the duo make their trip home. However, Leon is in hot pursuit of them and finally gets to them. However, Will's little friend Maya spots him and comes running to him for a few minutes as usual. Seizing this opportunity, he offers her the capsule, and a crowd gathers in no time to get the free time. This offers Will and Sylvia a window to sneak out, but Leon keeps his chase. However, Leon is so obsessed with ending Will that he forgets to refill his own time from the capsule in his car. So when he finally gets them, he shortly times out and drops dead. Even then, they can't afford to celebrate as they themselves have less than a minute each. As reality dawns on them, they embrace each other in love, waiting for their turn, only for Will to recall the capsules in the officer's car. With less than 30 seconds on their timer, they make a run for the car with an experienced Will making it there first. He fetches some time and runs back to Sylvia, whose heels slowed her down. The moment with his mom is recreated as Will runs hard to save Sylvia, who is almost timing out. She lands in his arms, and Will is lucky this time to get her alive and share his time, preventing her untimely death. In the closing scene, the news reports chaos in the cities as people move to New Greenwich in a revolutionary migration. The movie ends as the lovebirds unite to continue their hunt on much bigger banks. They plan to flood the market with excess time to bring equity and prevent untimely deaths. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed the content. Like and share in the comments any movies you would like us to recap.